This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guests, we got Jonah and Elliot from the Heartlent Group. How's it going, guys?
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Excited to be on.
Yeah, appreciate you guys coming on. So let's just go back. I know we already work together, so we kind of know each other. But like, tell me a little bit about both of your backgrounds and then how you guys kind of got started in like media and sports and marketing and all that, because you guys do everything.
Yeah, I could start. And it's good to do it this way because our lives are intertwined for better or worse. Elliot and I have been working together for quite some time. I started in sports radio, actually, coming out of college. In Kansas City, I worked at 610 Sports, both on the mic, behind the mic, doing some producer work, and then went to the Minnesota Timberwolves to start running digital there. This is before Twitter, so I'm going to age myself right now. And then after about 3 years in Minnesota, made the leap to Madison Square Garden and worked for the New York Knicks and ran the digital department, traveled with the team, in front of the camera, behind the camera, kind of doing it all there. And it was a blast. Had a lot of fun, took a lot of years off my life, but some great learning lessons there and some really good opportunities to learn digital and how to bring that to the fans. And obviously we're seeing all of that explode now. And while I was there, looking for original content, trying to always think outside the box, discovered Elliot on Twitter, I believe, and we connected, and then we started collaborating, and we just had this sort of kind of magical experience where we could, whatever was in my head as far as design and creation, that there's no way I could even put pen to paper or on the Adobe suite. Elliot found a way to bring that to life, and we quickly sort of gelled in that way and created a ton of content for about 3 years. And when I decided to kind of make the jump outside of Madison Square Garden to do something a little different, I picked Elliot's brain. We had a discussion. He said, "You got to come join me at this marketing agency I'm at." And there it was, sort of a startup within a bigger, larger experiential agency, which excited me and the opportunities. And again, for Elliot and I to work together. And our boss at the time was Keith Steckler, and he is our third partner at Heartlent Group now. So we formed a trio there with some really good chemistry, and we all brought different skill sets to the table. And now we're at Heartlent Group with our own digital content agency, or we'll just take your slogan and say we do it all. I like that one. But yeah, that's a little bit of sort of the trajectory. And Elliot, you can fill in the holes with your experience.
For sure. Yeah, we're gonna put that big on the site. We do it all. That story always. I love that story because I think, I love to build relationships with clients, and obviously, for better or worse, I've built a good one with Jonah. I think some days. I've had a long road. I went to Pratt for design and masters, and from there I kind of like bounced around. I was at like a really small agency. I worked as a designer in finance, which was, I wanted to shoot myself every day. And then I worked for a gaming industry, which was really fun. And there it was called Turtle Beach. We actually started working with, E-teams and actual players. Like we did custom headsets for Des Bryant and who else? Dwight Howard and some other players and stuff like that. And that's kind of like where I started doing that stuff. And then, I was just passionate about the Knicks, and that's where Jonah found me. But at the time I had started doing stuff with ESPN as well on the side. They were giving me projects where it's like, hey, it's 4:00. Can you finish a illustration for us by, end of the Eastern Conference playoff game, which probably ends like 7:30 or not 7:30. That starts at 7:30 or 8, So I would finish stuff in like 6 hours, and that's why they kept on coming back to me. That was, that really started a whole adventure where I had my own company as well as working for marketing. I went to a marketing streaming agency after that, after Turtle Beach, and then ended up at a larger agency, MKTG, where I convinced Jonah to come with me. I think like some of my claim to fame, and I think my story is interesting, is, including Renee, is a lot of athletes have found me on social. Renee being one of the most awesome experiences. She found me through the Rock the Vote stuff that we did together. But like, one that story I probably tell too much is, LeBron James found my artwork that I did for Fansided on this small blog. I still want to know how it happened. But he found it and he ended up using it to go 0 to Dark 30 in 2017. And that was pretty awesome because I ended up working with the Cavs. I made a mural. And then recently, James Harden found my work that I did with a Haitian artist. It was a collaboration. And they ended up making a basketball court in Haiti for it, which was awesome because it was like for a good cause. It was like for the community, so that a lot of these kids can live their dream, like, train to become a basketball player, just like Harden. So yeah, it's been cool to see that athletes have recognized what I've done and the energy I bring to my creativity. That's why we also love working with you guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's why it's like the power of social media is like crazy, and I think still people underestimate it to this day. And it's like, it's just weird to me that people still like, I work with athletes all the time, and I'm like, no, you got to be on all 3 of these platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now TikTok too. So like, I'm like, you got to be on it because you never know what happens. Like, like I do it all the time. I'm sure you guys do it, and you post it all 3 or 4 places, and then you get one interaction that might be completely different than on one other platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you never know, right? That's what I always tell Elliot. Like, the engagement sometimes, is detrimental to the overall potential opportunity. It isn't just something that you look at for likes and engagement. All those things are nice, but sometimes that can mess with people mentally, and it's not necessarily beneficial to what you're going to accomplish. But there's always that chance that person to find Elliot Gerard's work in New York while he's in Cleveland or LA or with the Miami Heat. It's most likely not going to happen. And this is what's kind of awesome about social media and the power of it. And we're still in the infancy stages of it. And I think that's why at times there's a lot of skepticism around the platforms and the power of it. But our company now, I mean, the reason why we've been able to succeed so fast is to be able to showcase the work on social media platforms and also strategically work the platforms to our advantage and places where we can reach people that would need that type of content. So I think it's an amazing, powerful tool. And I have learned so much. I look at it and view it through the lens of using it as a tool, especially Twitter. And I've learned so much from people. I've connected with people. I've been able to make friends and colleagues and partnerships like Elliot. Like, this is a lifelong friendship and partnership that we have just because we met on Twitter. I mean, that is a crazy thing if you think about it. Yeah. So it really is powerful. And I'm glad that, Paul, you embrace it as well and continue to push, athletes to use it, because I think it's going to be less and less about like how the athlete is just like, hey, look at my cool highlights, or, going on and maybe having some commentary to his fan base, and more about another way to potentially be lucrative and to get business and to bring some more money into their pockets and also brand themselves. They can own their own platforms now, which is very exciting.
And just for sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. Paul, if you have a question, I can jump in afterwards.
No, keep on going.
Well, I just think, you talk about how it's in infancy, and I think that it's actually going to an infinite place with metaverse coming in and NFTs, and it's all starting to mix together. And not to plug what we did, but our creating the first female athlete NFT series was our claim, one of our claims to fame. But like, the idea of it, you don't even know where it's going to go. It's so interesting to see how this is connecting to so many different things. And helping artists in so many different ways to make more money, as well as athletes. It just seems like it's gonna, maybe, I don't know if it's in its adolescent phase yet, but it seems like it's about to hit this new peak or maybe it's doing it every day, but I don't know. It seems like something is gonna explode. It already is, but almost like the next chapter is about to start, I feel like.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I feel, like, even obviously, like, through Corona, like, it was like normal stuff, like regular, like I guess you'd say this Web 2 stuff, and now like everything's like changing again. Like right, I feel like currently, and it's pretty interesting, but it's dope too because like you said, like even probably for you, Elias, being an artist, just like more people are like appreciating art, and I've seen like artists now that were like quote unquote starving artists, and now they're like millionaires because of NFTs, and it's like insane. It's like insane. Like I don't even like. At first, I couldn't wrap my head around. I remember we had the conversation last year, and we didn't really know what we were doing, but we knew it was dope. And now it's like kind of, I wouldn't say mainstream, but it's getting there. It's like I think the stat is still like I think 4% of Americans own NFTs right now. So super
Wow,
early
that's a
still.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's actually surprising. I didn't think it would be that high. And also it's ever evolving. That's what I love about it, right? Like every day is something different in the space. You know, with TV, radio, newspapers, probably expanded it as much as it possibly could be. And there's this new medium, these new mediums in which you can create content and connect with fans. The way I look at NFTs is a little bit different than I think some people may view them as far as like, hey, I put my piece of content or artwork or whatever it is, and it's sold on an auction. I think there's a utility to it. I think that is going to be the next step in really connecting fans to experiences that they wouldn't get anywhere else. And also, hey, we've been doing this for years in marketing, right? Like the first 1,500 fans that step in an arena get a poster. It's the same thing, except now you get a digital collectible that you can showcase to your friends, your family, and then also sell it. So I just think once we get past the stage of skepticism, which always occurs, it happened with the internet, right? It happened with email, it happened with social media. Yeah. So it's like once we get past that and everybody's, says their opinion on it, and we move past the skepticism era, we'll get to the point where I think people will start to see it as a utility, and that's when it's going to get really interesting.
yeah. I think that's what people aren't seeing yet. It's almost like the same stuff we already been doing. It's just in a different form.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's
literally
hard though, right? Like I
yeah,
was just having the conversation with my parents the other day about, I'm the last generation that had the internet and didn't have the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Experiencing both of those, like, Elliot's kids only know the internet. That's the only thing they know. They don't know a pre-world that existed without it. So we're in this weird shift that I think is going to take a little bit. But then the younger kids are going to be the ones making the decisions, and they're going to come up with the internet, and they're going to come up with NFTs, and they're going to come up with Web 3.0 and metaverse or whatever happens next. So that's really what's going to define the next level of creation, in my opinion.
I think in a weird way, like NFTs are like taking social media and making it tangible. Even though it's not tangible, it is tangible, if that makes sense. Because like you're saying, instead of getting a poster, you're getting an NFT, and you can place it and you can share it, and it's yours, and your avatar can be, customized to a certain shape so that that it's an NFT. So I just feel like there's like, it's becoming a physical form. And then obviously you talk about the metaverse, and then it becomes like a 3D physical form. So everything's, and then like just being able to, have 3D printers so that you could take a digital piece and make it a tangible piece itself. So it's all kind of melding together in some weird, I don't know, almost like a Jackson Pollock painting where everything's splattering on the wall. But
yeah, like I like physical things, but now like when I think about it, I'm like, okay, like now I don't have to physically, like obviously memorabilia is dope and stuff, but like if I have ticket stubs like in my wallet, it's like that's even doper because you could just like show everybody, like, or share it, like just like what you were just saying.
It's a keepsake, right?
Yeah.
Like it's funny. My grandpa collected stamps. Did
Yeah.
his dad laugh at him and be like, "You idiot? Why did you?" I'm sure he probably did, but you know what I mean. Like people collected Beanie Babies, and Pongs and all these kinds of weird things, right? Those, it means. Listen, I thought about this today. I'm very much on the market. Always dictates the value of anything, right? If there's a market value for it, then somebody's willing to pay a price for it, then that's what it's worth. And I think there is things that mean something to certain people in a certain moment. I've been to sporting events that really wouldn't mean anything to anybody else but me and my friends that were at it, because it was special in that way. and to have a shared experience of an NFT or a collectible that we all could have and sort of part of your memories and everything going digital, I think there's a lot there to it. And then if you can unlock, the experience you could have with an athlete, like if you got one of those NFTs that Renee was selling, and then that unlocked, a chance to go to an Atlanta Hawks game and join her on a broadcast or shadow her for a day or whatever it is, like that could be super meaningful to a person. Then it takes it to a whole nother level of memories, right, that you can generate. So I think we're getting there. I think, and also the barrier for entry, right, in crypto has made it difficult for some people to wrap their heads around. And now that you can buy with dollars and it's less of a barrier to entry, I think there are going to be more people who are adopting to it and getting into it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, all right, so you guys worked with a whole bunch of different companies and people and athletes and everything and celebrities over the past couple of years. And I know you won a lot of different awards, but like what have been your guys' like kind of like top projects that you worked on? And then what kind of projects are you guys working on now?
Well, this one behind me, rock the vote.
Yeah.
I'm also very passionate about politics and about voting rights. So, the fact that so many athletes, including Renee, just like we're so involved and so excited to be a part of this. Rock the Vote came to me and they were like, "Hey, can you do like 10 to 15?" And I'm like, "What if we did 50? What if we did 50? We had like a mural and we put it up on Turner because Turner was involved." And it exploded to 400.
Yeah. Elliot, can I jump in real quick? Let me just explain what it is, because I don't think everybody listening here knows what the hell you're talking about.
Well, it's behind.
So
yeah.
I know, but let's pretend everybody listening on a podcast, which we're on. So Rock the Vote came to Elliot with an idea that basically they wanted a large campaign to get celebrities, mainly athletes, involved in promoting and encouraging people to exercise their right to vote, right? Get out and vote. We know that in the last election, it was record numbers, and we believe this was a large part of it. So Elliot was originally scoped to only, how many was it?
10
Design
15,
how many?
But then I pushed
10 to 15. Yeah. And then he pushed in, ended up doing 400 custom graphics that really showcase the story of each athlete, celebrity through icons. It's very visually appealing. And then all these celebrities, athletes, influencers posted the graphic with the call to action to go out, exercise your vote to right.
Well, the
and
design
so there were 400.
The design also was a big check mark on their face, like across their faces. And what it was saying was like, I'm a voter. I'm also all these other things. It talked about their careers. It talked about what their passions were. It talked about the causes they did, like Elena Del Don and all the causes that she's a part of. I'm blanking on what they are, but yeah. So I really wanted to capture them as a person and say like, we're all people and we're all voters and we all matter. And I think that a lot of people understood that in the Hooper space, but then it actually expanded into Kick Off the Vote, which was a weekend before voting started, and it was for NFL. I mean, we literally worked with almost every players association on this. We worked with the WNBPA, the NBPA, the NFLPA, the Retired National Basketball Players Association, all because people just got so excited. And, obviously it was during an election year and everything. We ended up working with the Biden campaign separately, which maybe, maybe that's a little biased, but, because voting's supposed to be for everyone, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, so it was just from a personal standpoint, from winning 14 awards, from the connections we made, we've worked with almost all that. We've worked with athletes. We've worked with these players associations since, it really put us on the map. It was one of our first projects when we launched Heartlent, and Heartland means heart and talent. And I put my whole heart, because I believe in this, into this project, and it showed. And I think that that's why part of the reason we've done so well in this year is because it showed the passion we have and how we'll take a scope of 15 and make them 400, and then add on AR filters and build a brand, because we built brands for both Hooper's Vote and Kick Off the Vote. And there were like logos and all that starting from 15 illustrations. So, I think that's my favorite.
How about you, Elliot? How about you, Jonah?
Yeah, no, I mean, that one obviously was a big one and meant a lot to the company. Right now, we're actually about to wrap it up, a campaign with the NFLPA. And again, a lot of these projects that we'll be talking about today have a very similar feel in the sense that there is a component of it of either community activation or donations or money going to a foundation or celebrating athletes that do more. And I've always thought with my time working with the Timberwolves and the Knicks, and you get a different perspective. And Paul, you would know this very well too. When you are in day-to-day conversations with athletes or working with them, you understand these are human beings. And I don't know if a lot of fans have that feeling towards them. And listen, because of fandom, sports are exploding. Everybody's making a lot of money. I understand that. But they just think because a player X makes a certain amount of money, that you can treat them, or that they can't make mistakes and recover, or they go through the same trials and tribulations that we all do as people. And they're doing it at a very young age, and it's very difficult. So I gained a ton of perspective working for the teams when I started traveling and getting to know the players on a different level, seeing their lives, seeing the injuries that they have to go through, and the toll that the sport takes on their bodies. And yes, there's a lot of money there, and that's why they get paid. But that segues into, this project with the NFLPA, and they have a community MVP award that goes out every week that celebrates one of these players and what they do in their communities. And again, it's not exhaustive. So there's players doing, and they do this on the NFLPA channels where they celebrate a lot of the community work. But it's really important because I think you get a sense of how much these players do in their communities and how important they are to that community as a spokesman, as somebody who has money, has influence. So for us, we pitched the NFLPA to do a campaign with them. And the idea behind it was that every player is a superhero. We were going to create sort of a toy box that you would really think this is an actual Marvel toy that was in the box. And we did the packaging around it, and it looks very realistic. We nailed the likeness of the players, and the NFLPA loved it. It gave it a cohesive, comprehensive look throughout the season, and we got some surprises coming out in the next couple of weeks.
I'm gonna show you where this idea came from.
Yeah, those are dope. I've been seeing them. Wait, did you guys do it last year too, or was it just this year?
No, we didn't. So this was the first year, and we really wanted to do something special. Yeah, and Elliot's showing a package now of Captain America, and the box right on each side. Yeah. So the cover has like the athlete, and then on the sides of the box actually has sort of the details and information about what they did in the community. And it was really challenging, right, Elliot? Like to find the superhero that matched kind of what they were doing and dropping it. And by the way, a peek behind the curtain, we had to turn this thing around within like 48 hours. Yeah. So it was a lot of work. It was tremendously rewarding to see the reaction from the NFLPA, see the reaction to the players. The 5 finalists for the Alan Page Award got announced, and the winner is going to be announced soon, I believe on February 9th. And we have a surprise for that winner coming. So stay tuned to Heartlent Group on our social channels. And
we can't say it on this podcast. Oh, I'm so
well. There's going to be a cool thing for the winner. And again, this goes back to our whole philosophy of, yes, we want to create cool shit. At the end of the day, that's our objective. But it's always a bonus when you can celebrate what athletes are doing in the community. And it kind of goes back to my original statement. So yeah, this has been one of the fun ones, and working with an organization like the NFLPA and the NFL has been pretty awesome.
Well, can I just expand upon that? So what happened was they wanted like a comic book look, and we were like, that's great, but that's been done a million times. And I came back and I was talking to Jonah about it, and I'm like, when I was at Turtle Beach, we made these superhero headsets, and we told the story behind the character or the movie that it was part of, and also the headset itself. So I was like, well, what if we tell their story with this side thing? And it's like, that's what Jonah and I are so good at. We always want to find a visual way to tell the story, these as well. If you look at an image and it doesn't tell a story to me, then you lost me. You gotta find a narrative with the images. What we did for the podcast, we always wanted to tell some kind of story, or her NFTs. We're telling her story of her career with visuals.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And that's what we do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys could say, because I'm not going to be released till after February 9th if you want to.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's going to be a physical
All right,
figurine.
that's what I thought.
And,
That's what
and
I
the winner.
figured.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a
Wait, no,
huge
but-
surprise.
before that, we're making a 3D store where you go into the store, you see the aisles with all the toys, and then you go down, and then there's a a shelf that's hidden, and then the shelf's going to go up and it's going to release the toy. But you have to see this toy store. We got a 3D artist to do it, and it looks like a picture of a real store. It is
That's
insane.
dope.
This guy
Yeah, that's
is
dope.
amazing.
And we have to say too, and again, it's not just because we're on your podcast, but the work we did with Renee and you, we did an illustration and animation every week for the episode, getting to highlight some of the amazing guests that you guys had on the podcast. And that was amazing too, because again, the exposure, we talk about social media, you guys tagged us, you celebrated us on social, and we had a really great working relationship. And to showcase what you can do with a podcast and the content that comes out of it has always been something that we've been passionate about too. So the work we did with you guys is always something that we share with others and celebrate it as well.
Yeah, I mean,
for
building
sure.
relationships with clients, and you and Renee have been awesome, and so supportive of us. That's really important to me. Like, somehow I dragged this guy along with me, and he used to be my client. But the other thing that I loved about working with her is that, like, all the stuff that she's for social, whether it's social justice or women's sports or women's, just helping women, be more active in the community and stuff like that. We love that. We're all about that. We're really proud of what we've done for the Premier Hockey Federation, which is awesome because they're the first women's league not to have a W in it. We're working with the commissioner there, Ty. She's awesome. We were able to brand the All-Star game this year. We're going to do the championship game as well. It's really cool to have people play on your artwork. Like actually, make marks on your artwork with their skates. So
I'm sure that was a bucket list for you to check off right there.
Oh, definitely a bucket list. But I love being a part of the revolution for, or evolution, whatever you want to call it, for women's sports. I think it's awesome to see that the WNBA is, I mean, it's still so young. I mean, it's still only 25 years now. And how it's becoming, on the level with these big boy sports, for the men. And I think it's leading the way for these premier hockey federations and stuff like that to say, hey, we're as exciting to watch. We're as passionate, if not more passionate about our sports. So yeah, it was really cool working with you guys, especially with her, as she's so passionate about everything that she does.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I wish I kind of seen your guys behind the scenes, because we didn't even know who we were getting, like, guest wise. We were just doing this all like independently, getting the guests, like reaching out. Like, I was just like, I was kind of surprised, like, these people were just saying yes. And like, I felt like it just kept on getting like crazier and crazier, like each week of who we were getting on. So that was just crazy. And then, going to the PHF. It's cool to see that you guys were working with them too. Because, I actually worked with, Anya Babolino, now Anya Packer, and Madison Packer. I work with Madison, her wife now, because I worked with Anya when she was a player like 5 years ago, and now I'm working with her wife, which she's like one of the best players in the league, 5-time All-Star. I think she's only 5-time All-Star. So yeah, it's dope to see the evolution of that whole league.
Now they're getting the money, which is long time coming. And you see the investments that were just made in the WNBA. It's just a start now. But what we're hearing from brands and other partners surrounding this is that there is a movement to showcase the female sports, not only showcase, but fuel them with the money that they need, right? Like to get on par with where the men are. And the ratings are proving that is sustainable, and B, financially beneficial to the partners. So there can't be this, the women's sports don't get the ratings. Well, we've seen it with the Final Four and the women's tournament, and we're seeing it now with like what PHF is doing and making some headway there. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And I know some people feel like, hey, this should have happened a long time ago, and I totally agree. But to see now at least a full push with it, and our ability hopefully to play a small role in the creative process has been pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I mean, I don't know if you guys seen it as well. Like when I post like women's stuff, like it gets more engagement than the men's stuff on my socials. I don't know if you
Sure.
guys seen it, but like, or more interactions too, just with their fans and supporters.
PHF for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've following their engagement since we started working with them. I'm like, wow, this audience is really into it. They're really connected, and I think in some ways that's a better relationship than maybe we're seeing with some of the other big time sports, male generated sports with the NFL and the NBA. The disconnect is large. You know, when I worked with the Timberwolves, it was small time in the sense that they didn't have obviously the fan base that the Knicks do, but some of the things that they were able to do to connect with the community on a daily basis, and the players were more accessible. It's honestly sometimes a better fan experience.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these sports are finding that they can connect better with their audience and their fans. And I think that's going to be proven over time that it could be financially more lucrative for them. And also from social content creation and connection, you can really, really get fans involved in a way that the big leagues just can't do it.
NFTs started slow with women's sports, but then it's starting to explode, you know? So I think it's all connecting. And that the two, you know, revolutions or evolutions are going on at the same time. And again, I think that we're ready for a real explosion, or probably already going through it, but
Yeah, no, definitely. And I want to go back to something because I didn't even know. Maybe it might be embarrassing since I did work with you guys. I didn't even know the Heartland Group, that what you said, it was Heart and Talent. So could you explain more how you guys came up with that name?
yeah. Well, we went through so we branded ourselves within 2 weeks. Keith came up with that name. I will give him that credit. That's the most creative thing he's done for us.
Wow, I hope he doesn't listen to this.
He's more operations, but no, he's a very creative guy too as well. And I will give him, like, that was awesome. Like I'm not even, can I say the name that I had?
Nah.
And I started doing the logos for that, and then you know, it just didn't feel right. And so when he came up with, hey, we should do Heartland, at first it was Heartlent, which I didn't, and I will say, I said we got to put the whole heart in it. You know, and the logo is just an H and a T across, but it became this like X where it's crossing across, and it has this energy. And I made the colors red and orange, obviously for Heart and Talent, but also I want it to be a phoenix. So it's actually our mascot, which maybe one day I'll actually draw or whatever, is an actual phoenix, because it's like rising up from COVID. You know, we came from a marketing agency that made a lot of cuts during COVID, and we wanted to build a different kind of, we're not an agency, we're a group, we're a collective, because, you know, when you have this sense of agency, I think that there's a lot of baggage that comes with it, and a lot of expectations that you have to be a certain way, and we don't want to be that way. We want to be someone that people really like to work with, that we're not pushing stuff in your face. We're trying to work with you, collaborate with you, work with the best people, that bring on people that make the most sense for the project, whether it's working with a diverse artist or working with an artist that's a specific skill, you know, stop motion or 3D animation or whatever. Or when we worked with Renee on the NFTs, we wanted to have people represented from all over the world, you know, all different backgrounds, different sexes, ethnicities, you know, everything. So yeah, you know, we're always trying to find what the best solution for the project is. And I don't think you get that with big agencies. I think it's more like the bottom dollar. How do we figure this out to make the most money?
Yeah, no, for sure. What about, like, what advice would you two give to like a young creator coming up?
I mean, you know, it's social media. Social media is still very important. And keep posting, even if you get 2 likes on a post. I kill myself when if I don't get much engagement, but you hurt yourself if you do that. Just keep on keeping on, keep on making art, keep on posting it, keep on getting it out there. Someone will see it. The best work does tend to rise to the top.
I would say take advantage of the tools. It's pretty incredible how many tools are available, for free or at a fairly low cost. And you can build a studio in your apartment for not that much money, and you can create pretty high quality type of content. And I think that find out what it is that you would either what you want to say or what you want to be or what you want to create, and lean into it. Don't try to do too much in the beginning, but every day continue it. We talked about the podcast. I know we talked about a little bit earlier before we jumped on and started recording, but it's one of these things, like, a lot of people drop off. I think I forgot what the statistic is, right? But most people don't make it past like 10 episodes or even maybe less than that, right? There's a pretty substantial number. And to me, it's one of those things, like, just keep doing it. You're going to evolve with the content. It's not going to be perfect the first time. Nobody is. It never is, right? But if you try to wait it out and say, no, I'm going to wait till this is perfect before I go public, I don't want to get made fun of. I don't want to, I'm worried about what people are going to say. It'll never happen. It will just never happen. And you're going to lose time, and time is going to pass you by. And so I would say for creators out there, start putting out there, try different things, try different platforms, what works best for you. The worst thing you can do is feel like there's some sort of negativity coming your way, and then you just stop and give up. If you continue to go, you'll get better. I taught myself video editing. I was not good in the beginning, but I've continued over and over and over and over again. And you get to a point where things start to click in a different way. And then you start finding solutions of how to do things and different ways to tell stories. So we're an amazing golden age of creators. And I'm blown away by some of these kids. And I can say kids because I'm old now, that are doing awesome work. And if you're out there and you're like, I want to start, my biggest piece of advice would be just go and don't look back. Yeah. Keep going.
I got to jump in a minute, but I just want to reiterate on top of him. I think it says a lot about our relationship, that, and it says a lot about you, Paul, because you've kicked our ass, but we're going to hit our 50th episode on We Need to Be Doing That, which is a plug if people want to come to it. Paul will be on We Need to Be Doing That soon enough. Most people do 3 episodes. We got to 50. Paul, you're at 500 or whatever you're at this point. But it just shows the testament. And same thing with Renee. Like, we got through a whole season, and now she got picked up. You never know. Like with podcasters too, keep going. Go to 50 episodes and see if you get picked up by someone, because you might. Just it's not just the work. It's the work ethic that you put behind it, and it's the consistency. Keep at it.
All right, Jonah. So how did you guys end up starting your podcast? I know you guys have, I think Elliot just said almost 50 episodes.
Yeah. We're at 50 episodes. It's actually a really funny story. Keith, Elliot, and myself went to a Nets game together. And this when we were at the marketing agency, and there's ideas. Everybody's like, I want to do a podcast. I'm like, guys, do we have time? Do we have the resources? Like, I'm going to be editing it. It's a lot. It's a lot of work to do it. The artwork, the promotion of it, everything that goes into it. And at the time we started to think about the idea of a podcast and what the name would be. Elliot always says, like, I send him often, like, hey, look at this piece of content. Look at this cool, like, video that this guy did, or this artwork. And his reply all the time, and this is a text thread with Keith, Elliot, myself, is, we need to be doing that. Yeah. So it's never like, hey, like, let's talk about that. How that, it's just like, we need to be doing that. Everything is, we need to be doing that. So we started joking around like that. That is the funny sort of way of approaching all this content, because it's like never ending, and we just got to do everything. So that we said, listen, it's a long name. I don't necessarily agree. It's something that you should do to have that kind of long name for a podcast title, but it just made so much sense. And then, for us to bring on people in either the marketing world, athletes, content creators, people in business of all walks of life, it's been really cool. And it's sort of under that umbrella of, like, we like to listen to people and successful people and say to ourselves, well, we need to be doing that too. So that's how it all started. And now we're 50 episodes deep, and just the most, and I'm sure you feel the same way. There's something about a podcast, you bring on strangers, and at the end of 30, 40 minutes after it, you almost feel like you're friends with them. Yeah. And there's a connection that's been made. And since I've been doing content, when I was at the Timberwolves and Knicks, I've always enjoyed interviewing people. It's one of my favorite things to do. And one of the things I kind of miss being away from the team, but it's really been awesome to have these conversations on podcasts. And, I think for people out there, if you're marketers or digital creators, we bring on a lot of smarter people than us to talk about these things. So, we need to be doing that.com. There's a lot of great conversations there. So feel free to dive in and get some free tips and information.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I feel too. Just like interviewing somebody and then just like I actually like interviewing people that I don't know because, well, most of the time, sometimes, I mean, I've definitely had some bad ones, I guess, but some interesting experiences. But yeah, like that's why it's like cool to just connect with people in general. And that's like the reason why I started one was just because I liked listening to them, and I was like, I know all these people, like when I interview them and tell their stories. And same thing, like I like interviewing like all different types of people, not just like athletes. And yeah, I think it's just a cool thing to do. And no, I love your guys' name, even though it is long. But I think it's funny because I feel like a lot of people could resonate with that.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that is, it's like with anything, and it's funny in a weird way about like everybody's kind of chiming in about the Commanders, the Washington Commanders, and I don't really necessarily like the name, but I think it will become a name. People will then say like, oh yeah, the Commanders. That's it. Just like Washington football team was like, oh, I don't know about that. That's weird. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, I kind of like the Washington football team. So it was that way with, we need to be doing that. It wasn't necessarily something that I was like, oh, I don't know if it's catchy enough for a podcast, but it certainly explains sort of the dynamic between the three of us. So it's been cool so far.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, and could you let the listeners know where you could follow you guys at and find you?
So you can find us at Heartlent at Heartlent. So that's Heart and then Lent. Or you can find me at Elliot Gerard on Twitter and Instagram. Same with Heartlent. So that's ELLIOT GERARD. I'm sure you'll put it in the notes. And Heartland.com or we need to be doing that.com is where you can find us on the podcast.
Yes, and you can follow me at Jonah Ballow, JONAHBALLOW, and it's Heartlent Group. That is where you can find us on Twitter and Instagram, HEARTLENT Group. And don't listen to Elliot. Let me guide you to the places to find us, heartland.com. And Paul, thanks again so much, man. This has been a blast.
So much, Paul. This was a blast.
There you go. Boom.